What countries have I visited for gold mining? Peru, Colombia, Ecuador. In Africa, I've been to Sierra Leone, to Kenya, Tanzania, Madagascar. So yeah, I've been to quite a few places, mostly, to be fair, working with small-scale miners. That's really my area of work. It's what I enjoy the most, working with those communities. Generally, what will happen is that somebody will contact me through my website or my blog and ask, they will have heard of what I do through Fairtrade, or they'll have heard of what I do through Greg Jewellery, and they will be looking for some assistance as a small-scale mining, and they'll say, will you come and help? Well, I think firstly, what impacts you is how remote these places are. When you're involved with mining, you are often really way out in the bush, in the jungle, or in the Arctic. I've been to see ruby mining in Greenland. But I think the first thing that strikes you is the remoteness of the locations, which means kind of geographically, from the landscape, from a scenic perspective, it can be stunning. They're just incredible areas that you visit, places that most tourists will never visit. I think the second thing that impacts you, and certainly has impacted me, is the poverty. Actually, when you think people are mining a product like gold, which actually has a huge amount of value, for the vast majority of small-scale miners, it is a subsistence living, day-to-day, $1, $2 a day, and maybe a cup of rice or your food. Those miners don't see the value. They are so poor that they're literally working 24/7, the next day, the next day, the next day. And they may be hundreds, if not thousands of miles away from home in some cases. They're migrant labourers. So they're dislocated from their families, they're dislocated from their communities, and it's the poverty that drives them to do what they're doing. And then thirdly, it is the environmental impact. The deforestation that may be going on. I was in Kenya recently, watching a lady who was amalgaming in a small handkerchief with a small amount of mercury, the gold that she was getting from an old, large-scale mining site. She had her old 7-Up bottle that had a small amount of mercury in the bottom. She was sucking on the lid of the mercury bottle while she was rubbing the stuff in her bare hands. And you look at that and you just think, obviously that's incredibly bad for your health. And when you ask the lady, why are you doing that? She just kind of looks at you and says, well, I don't really have very much of a choice. If I don't do this, I don't eat. And if I don't eat, I starve. So I can die of mercury poisoning in 5 years, or I can die of starvation in a month. That's the starkness of the choice that she faced. So, and obviously that mercury goes into the environment. So the environmental issues, are quite considerable. Another mining company that I saw in Tanzania was literally blowing up a mountain to get to the product. Dynamiting. A whole mountain no longer exists because there was gold in it. I think it's the drama of the environmental impact, which again really takes your breath away. The impact that it can have, it can be measured in a number of ways. Firstly, they will get a minimum price. So what does Fairtrade deliver, Fairmined Gold deliver for the miners? It delivers a guaranteed minimum price. So all that exploitation of $1 a day goes. They also receive a premium, and the community that the miners are in will receive a premium on the gold sale, and that premium is spent on health, education, a midwife, a teacher, a road. The community, the critical thing is the community decides what the Fairtrade premium is spent on. that community decides we need a school, our premium is going to go to building that school. Or the school has been built, we need a teacher to sit in the school to teach people. We'll spend our premium on the salary for the teacher. So that's the kind of impact that it can have. Environmental projects to clean up the environment, reforestation. There's all kinds of things which that premium will end up impacting. So those are the two principal things that will instantly happen once they get certified. Becoming certified, you have to have health and safety in the mine. You know, there's gender equality, for example. You know, you have to have women inside the cooperative. No child labour. There have to be very strict environmental policies. You know, if you're using mercury in your production, you have to use special equipment to make sure there's no toxic elements impacting people's health.